Welcome to Wednesday night OWCP chats with Chris and Gini. She's sitting right over there, still recovering from her surgery a couple of weeks ago. She's doing great. And a lot of you have asked about her. That was really nice. Thank you. She's doing really good. Just one more night of you having to suffer through with just me and nobody else. She'll be back on next week. She'll still be here asking the questions. I'll be answering. However, before we start with your questions tonight, and please do me a favor, hold your questions until I'm finished. Tonight, I want to talk about compliance and sort of get rid of the rumors and the misconceptions, the false things that are being said about federal interest centers. And I think that these are hurting you. When someone tells you don't go to federal interest centers, then what options does that leave you? Imagine you're somebody in Iowa, and somebody in Iowa inevitably is watching tonight. They know exactly what I'm talking about. If there's nobody else to help, what do we do? So, so tonight I'm going to show all of you why you don't have to worry about it and give you a glimpse into what we do behind the scenes to make sure everything goes smooth and clean, and that none of you has to look over your shoulders because none of us are looking over ours. So I'm going to talk to you and show you our compliance manual that we use in all of our offices. I'm going to show you all of our compliance materials because we are fanatical about compliance. It's, they always say cleanliness is up there with godliness. Well, for us, compliance is up there with godliness. Look, I've been doing this federal work comp thing since 2007. And since 2007, I've never lost sleep. I've never looked over my shoulder, and nobody with a badge has ever shown up. And the reason for that is the way we do compliance is so, what's the word? I don't know, whatever. But we are fanatical about it. So tonight I'm going to show you that. Normally this is where Gini would tell me to do all the housekeeping, but truthfully there's not any. We don't have trips coming up, right?
I posted our meet and greet open houses for August and September. See if they heard that.
Okay, so we have meet and greet open houses in August and September. She posted those online, so go take a look at that if you want to know where we're going to be. I know North Carolina is one of them, and that's going to be a blast because we're going to hang out with our FBI buddies when we're in North Carolina. Yeah, that's right, our FBI buddies. I think that was a really timely thing for us to get invited to.
We're going to an FBI party.
Yeah, almost like the after party. With a bunch of guys with guns and badges. So obviously I'll fit right in because I like guns and badges. I just don't have badges.
So we're going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, Cottonwood Heights, Utah, Gilbert, Arizona, Miami, Florida, and Royersford, Pennsylvania.
Good Lord, we're going to be busy. So we're going to be in a few places, but she posted all these online. So you just go to Wednesday Night Chats. Well, you're here. So go to the Facebook page and check it out. I think everyone is slow to get on. So do me a favor, everyone share and tell a friend. If your popcorn's not finished, get your popcorn finished. Get your favorite drink, bring it with you. This is going to be enlightening. What we do in our just normal course of business is something that's, unknown to you. And I realize that I should probably reintroduce ourselves. Who is Federal Interest Centers? Who am I? Who are we? And so tonight we're going to do that. And you can see, I actually wrote notes for tonight. This is 4 pages of notes because a thing happened a couple of weeks ago. Yeah?
No, I was going to say you should just wait a little bit more. People are still talking.
No, I'm delaying. Okay, get some people on here. This is maybe the most important thing I've ever talked about. Because, look, you need this help, but you have people that are telling you not to get it. I'm going to go ahead and read this, and I'll read it again in a minute, but an email was sent out to a bunch of union people, and I'm not in the business of calling out like which union it is or who said it. I'm not doing that because I'm not here to embarrass any of you. That's not what I want to do. I'm not looking to make enemies with the unions. I do not want to be an enemy of the union because the union is how I'm able to get to lots of you outside of, social media. Because of, the organizations that you're members of, I'm able to reach large audiences at once and teach this stuff and give you the help that you need. in a way that before we started doing this in 2016, nobody was doing. So anyway, so this email was sent out to all the members of this one particular local union
in a certain state.
And it doesn't matter where it was or who it was, but here's what it said. And look, if you were a recipient of this email or you are the sender of this email, then you'll recognize these words word for word, because I'm just going to read it. So here it goes. So somebody sent this email out, and when they sent it, it just, it kind of hurt my feelings. Okay. I had to put my big boy pants on and say, gosh, all right, well, this is due to a misunderstanding of who we are. And so it's my obligation to educate about who we are. So here's what happened. The email said this in bold and underlined words, okay? I want to urge everyone to stay away and do not recommend these federal injury centers to our injured members. So it starts with that. If you don't have federal injury centers, who do you have? Okay, so I know the answer to that because so few people have accepted claims compared to, us who our new doctors are already at 75% approval. The other 25% are just in process. But the majority of you have denied claims or unattempted claims because you don't know what to do. You don't have any help. That no matter how great your unions are, you still need doctors to write great reports. And when you don't have great reports, your claims get denied. As I tell all of my doctors, all denied claims are your fault. So don't do denied claims. Look, you can go anywhere and get a denied claim. Anywhere. The proof is in the stats. That's the way it goes. But when you come to federal injury centers, you should anticipate and expect approved claims. And that's what we're all about. But you're getting told don't go there. So again, I get this one person, I'm not, convicting everybody. This one guy said, I want to urge everyone to stay away, and do not recommend these federal injury centers to our injured members. This company, meaning my company, that one right there, federal injury centers, this company does not hold the best interest of the people we represent. So I'm going to break this thing down. Number one, I never met this person. This person who wrote this email has no idea what I consider to be the best interest or what the best interest is to me, because we don't know each other. We've never even had a single phone call. So this is an assumption based on who knows what. But this company does not hold the best interest of the people we represent. And I assure you that I hold your interest at the very top, above mine, certainly above the doctors that I work with. You're the whole reason we exist. If you didn't have a need for doctors, I would do something else. But I spent my entire life in healthcare. I don't know anything more than I know OWCP. So why wouldn't I do this? And I know that you have this need. So, this company does not hold the best interest of the people we represent. That's false. Yeah, and hold your questions, folks. I'm sure you're going to have a lot. You're going to have some questions that I have not had to field before, but I'm looking forward to them. So just hang on to them because I got a lot to say. Here's the rest of this email. In the past, a lot of these types of companies, so I'm going to stop there again. These types of companies. Okay. So I'm doing my math, doing my research, and I realized there's no other company like ours. There's no these type of company. We're doctors' offices. We're a bunch of independent doctors who all joined one group so that we can all follow the same rules and do the same stuff and have success for you. So there is nobody else like us. So to say that in the past, a lot of these types of companies, I haven't finished the rest. I mean, it'll blow your mind. But a lot of these types of companies, there's nobody else like us. There are no types of companies like us. Up until 2018, nobody ever thought, hey, why don't we just set a bunch of rules and train a bunch of doctors so that these federal employees don't suffer from a lack of doctors? Why don't we just do that? So that's never happened. And by the way, that was done out of your best interest. I could have done anything. I just leave it at that. Otherwise, it starts sounding like bragging. But here's the rest of the sentence. In the past, a lot of these types of companies had criminal charges pressed against them. Okay, so I asked my lawyer. He said, yeah, that's probably liable, but, I wouldn't prosecute it. So I'm not. But, liable is when you say something that's false or leading somebody to believe something that's not true. But, yeah, a lot of these companies have had criminal charges pressed against them. Not us. Now, by the way, there's a sentence coming. And I'm going to tell you, I've been in healthcare since a week before my 20th birthday. I've only ever been in a medical practice or practices that help people with injuries. I have never seen someone with a badge show up at one of my offices saying, hey, what are you doing? In fact, the only people with badges I've ever seen in an office were patients. Patients. That's it. Now, that's a clue. And another clue is that in 25 years of doing this business, and since 2007, only doing federal comp, since 2007, I've trained, it's in here somewhere, more than 50 doctors, more than 50 offices, and none of them has ever seen anybody with a badge. What in the world is going on here if we're such frauds? All right, so hang on to that. So in the past, a lot of these types of companies have had criminal charges pressed against them. Not us ever, or anybody that we've ever known. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for the criminal charges to come about. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for the criminal charges to come about. Well, I'm about 15 now. So I was doing the math on that, and that's somewhat more than a couple of years. It's like 7 times and then some. So, I'm not looking over my shoulder wondering what's going on and, when am I going to go to jail? You're not going to see my mugshot anywhere. I'm about to show you why. Okay, so, but, sometimes it takes a couple of years for the criminal charges to come about, and we don't want any of our members or branch officers to get caught up in any violations of the law or serving time in jail. So it's like a classic scare tactic to say to you, we don't want you to get in trouble, but not explain to you how could you get in trouble. I'll tell you how you can get in trouble. You could get in trouble if you lied on your CA1 or CA2. If you filed a false or fraudulent statement in relation to a claim under FECA. That's in the Code of Federal Regulations, okay? So, and it's in the ELM, and there's various parts of that in the United States Code. So the only way you can get in trouble is if you lie, is if you file a false or fraudulent claim. If you say you're hurt, but you're not. If you take off of work getting paid, but it turns out you can go play basketball and football on the weekends, right? I mean, those are things that would get you in trouble. But your association with someone else would not get you in trouble, okay? If you have a legitimate claim, which are the only claims we accept are legitimate claims, okay? We sniff this stuff out. If somebody came in, like actually somebody accidentally, they just were brand new. They didn't know that when they bent over in their kitchen to lift a pot, that wasn't OWCP. But we did, and so we didn't treat it like OWCP. We said, we're glad you have great health insurance. We can still help you. But that's not a legitimate claim. So you cannot get in trouble. You can't go to jail if your doctor goes to jail, okay? And my doctors are squeaky clean. You should go online and search for your doctor, images of your doctor, okay? If your doctor has a mugshot, you might have a problem with your doctor, okay? Meaning you might need another one. But you can't go to jail just because that guy went to jail, all right? You search Google for any of our doctors, you are not going to find mugshots because, we vet these guys and women. We know who we're dealing with. Anyways, this person, which, by the way, just a lack of experience because whoever wrote this email is obviously not a lawyer or a doctor, okay? They don't have a license in anything. And so they made a false assumption. They made a mistake. And that's okay. I'm not even mad at them. But you should be upset about this because if you're somebody who received this email and you're thinking, oh, gosh, I don't want to get in trouble, so I'm not going to get help. You can't get in trouble by the association you have with someone else. That's not how it works. And association with us is squeaky clean. You don't got to worry about it. I'm going to show you why in a minute. So sometimes it takes a couple of years for the criminal charges to come about, and we don't want any of our members or branch officers to get caught up in any violations of the law or serving time in jail. So I want to also say this. Me too. Okay. My 2 biggest fears are the IRS and prison. Okay. Those are 2 things I don't want any part of. And so you're about to see everything that I have authored in my company on the rules and policies and procedures that I wrote for this franchise, for the 50 some odd doctors that we have, and how we're all following them and how you don't got to worry about it. And how people should stop telling you not to get help. You need this help. Okay. You need it. You should be going back to your union representative saying, what the hell? I need this help. Why are you telling people not to get help? If you have other options, go for it. Okay. I always say, don't leave your doctor if you love your doctor, but you don't. Okay. Most of the time you don't have other options. So the most important part about this, and the reason that I am the most fired up, or the biggest reason I'm fired up, is because you're not going to get help. Listen, I can go do something else. I say this all the time. Just like Eric says, Blowers, that he doesn't need more clients. Look, I don't have to do work comp. I've got a pretty big brain and I could probably go do something else, but I enjoy this. I like the challenge of getting your claims accepted. I like looking at a narrative report and knowing exactly what's wrong with it. And I like reading a denial letter and knowing exactly how to fix it. I like seeing that you're not getting paid and knowing exactly how to get you paid. These are things I freaking enjoy. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing it for a little while. But gosh, how do I keep doing it if you all stop coming? That's something for you to think about. So in light of all of this, I'm going to talk to you about what it is that we do to be in what we call perfect compliance, so that everything we do is perfect. Okay. Does that mean that we don't make mistakes? Of course. I mean, we make mistakes. The goal is perfection, but that's not realistic. Somebody will make mistakes. We'll have a new employee. The new employee will make a mistake and we'll have to retrain. That's the way it goes. You have someone who gets lackadaisical, they've done something so many times that they make a mental error. These things happen. It happens in your world. It happens in my world. It happens everywhere. But nothing ever rises to the level of fraud. And I'm going to show you how. So check this out. So I've got a few things. And this is thing number one. Thing number one, this is a compliance manual. Every practice, every office that's a franchisee of Federal Injury Centers has one of these. It's a Federal Injury Centers compliance manual. And this manual, as you can see, is divided into 12 different chapters. Okay, 12 chapters. I'm going to go over and tell you what's in these 12 chapters. But every office is required to have one of these. In fact, our Tallahassee office, the doctor, which just sent me a picture today, because he's relatively new, of him building his franchise manual. his compliance manual, because I require them to send me a picture so that I know it's done. All right. We are all required to work inside of this manual. This is what keeps everything clean. And you're thinking right now, well, that's just a manual, right? What is it? I'm going to tell you, but let me show you some other stuff. So in a second, I'm going to tell you what's in our compliance manual, and that's going to shed some light on what we do to keep things clean, so you don't look over your shoulder, and so you don't have to have somebody telling you might go to jail because you go to the doctor, which is absolutely ridiculous. So here's a couple of things. 3, in fact. Okay, so all of our offices are in the process. So we all have this one poster. Now, this is a piece of paper. It's actually poster sized. And we put posters up in the office for you to read. And that holds us accountable to you. So what we do in every office is we tell you, when you're a patient there, that we're adhering to compliance policies, procedures, rules. And we want you to know what those are. We tell you what we're doing to protect you and us. So this particular poster, that's like an 11 by 17 poster, is called Compliance Rules for Helping Injured Federal Workers. And there's 10 of them on here, okay? This one says we don't pay for referrals. You have the right to choose your own doctor. We don't pay for referrals. So that's number one. You show up if you want to. If you want to go to the competition, go. If that doctor is good, we encourage you to stay. Now, most people would say, well, Subway doesn't encourage people to go to Jimmy John's. Well, I do. If you love your doctor, you should stay. But if you come here at your own free will. We don't pay for that, all right? We don't pay for referrals. That's number one. 2, we don't accept or give kickbacks for anything. Nobody gives us anything. We don't give anybody else anything. I don't take even thank you cards or cups of coffee to like union reps. That's a clue. We don't have business deals with anybody. So pharmacies, imaging centers, surgeons, when we make referrals because you need them, not because there's something in it for us. We don't have deals with anybody. Everything is based on your best interest, not ours. It's against the rules of Federal Injury Centers to have any under-the-table deals. Were I to find out about an under-the-table deal, I would fire that doctor tomorrow. They wouldn't make it past the next day. That's just how it goes. And by the way, I've fired 3 doctors since we started.
Almost 4.
Almost 4, okay? But I fired 3 doctors because they didn't have you as their best interest. What does that tell you? Who do I care about? You or them? You, obviously. So we don't have, or this office does have a financial interest in its own physical therapy service. So check this out. So the doctor writes a prescription for therapy because you need therapy. And we tell you on this rule book or this poster that you can take that prescription for therapy anywhere you want. You don't even have to stay here. We've evaluated you. We wrote your narrative. We got your case accepted. We recommended a treatment plan. And we said, if you want to take this somewhere else, you can. I mean, is that your best interest or mine? Look, financially, it's in my best interest for you to stay in my office, obviously. But what's in your best interest? Well, it may be in your best interest to find a PT clinic next door. So we encourage you, go find somebody. Here's what we recommend. Go do it. You can stay with us, but you can go where you want to go. Who does that if everything is in my best interest? Why would I do that? Number 5, the medical doctor, sometimes in combination with a nurse practitioner, makes all decisions. Okay, our MDs and nurse practitioners are in charge. You may find yourself in a chiropractic office, which is perfectly fine, but the medical doctor is running the show. So when someone says, and they tell us all the time, but that's a chiropractic office. No, it's an office that was established by a chiropractor. But we do multidisciplinary practices. All of our offices have medical in them, all of them. So the MD's running the show. And number 6, about chiropractors, when they are involved, the Code of Federal Regulations governs this. 20 CFR 10.311D says a chiropractor may also provide services in the nature of physical therapy under the direction of and as prescribed by a qualified physician. So if you're in one of our offices and a chiropractor is treating you, just know that's by the rule. And this poster is hanging up in the office so you see it. We're letting you know. We're talking about our compliance openly to you. We don't hide it. We're not scared of anything. We're wide open. 7, CA 17 duty status reports are for medical necessity. We don't give these to you just so we can bill for them. If it's not required, we don't do it, period. 8, the medical staff only restricts work duties or takes people off of work when it's medically necessary to do so. You don't get to be taken off of work because you want to go on vacation. And we send everybody back to work that medically can go back to work. Okay, that's a really key thing. A lot of doctors will keep people off of work for no good reason. We don't do that because we follow all the rules and we respect the system. Even though your supervisors don't respect you or us, we respect them. And we know that the show must go on. And so our doctors will send you back to work when it's medically indicated that you can do so. Number 9, and to me, the most important one, and there's a lot about this coming, but patients have to sign their physical therapy documentation before they leave. So why is that? Well, you have to sign your notes because we want to ensure that they're accurate. And we want to give you a chance to ask questions, to review it and say, hey, what was this, right? And so it gives the doctor or the therapist an opportunity to say, oh, yeah, here's what this was. Remember when we were over there doing this activity and for 32 minutes, that's what that was, right? So we give you an opportunity to review and sign. Now, what else does that do? It ensures that all the bills are accurate so that we don't have accidental overcharges or fraudulent bills. We make you review and sign as well with us. It holds everybody accountable. Who would do that if they weren't fanatical about compliance? We are. And that means that our therapists can't overcharge, and they wouldn't be incentivized to do so anyways because we don't bonus people for money at all. Nobody gets a money bonus. That's not how things work. I am thinking about instituting a compliance bonus, though. 100% perfect documentation sounds like something that is worth a financial incentive. And 10, no person in our office will ever ask you for money, period. We don't ask for money, ever. So has anybody noticed if you're a patient at federal injury centers that you've never had to pay a penny, ever? How about that? The doctors don't ask you for health insurance cards, that you don't have to pay co-insurances or deductibles or co-pays, right? I mean, so we don't ask for money. It is against federal injury centers rules to request money from you or anybody. It's against the rules. So I've got a couple of new posters that are coming out. In fact, I put them on our, we have what's called a pro shop with Vistaprint. All of our doctors order their materials from there. And so as of today, we've got a couple of large canvas prints that are really beautiful that have some new, I'll read these to you, okay? But these are posters that we put up in the office, wide open so that you can read them. We want you to see this stuff. We want you to hold us accountable while we hold ourselves accountable. So we just say, hey, let's let you know. This one is called Core Values for Compliance, and this is posted in the offices. Number one, we never pay for patient referrals. You have the right to choose your own doctor, and we're grateful you chose us. And we are. We're very grateful you chose us. 2, we don't accept money from you, ever. 3, we're not involved with any bribes, kickbacks, or financial deals with outside vendors, doctors, unions, or anyone else. 4, we send all patients back to work as soon as possible with or without restrictions based on your physical abilities. And 5, we do not bill for anything that isn't medically necessary, and we never bill for anything that didn't happen. And, that's really important because, that email that the guy sent out saying that, this is like all these other companies that committed fraud. I'm about to tell you about those companies because it's required reading in our company. We are required to know what these jerks did in the past that set OWCP back decades. But I'll get to that in a second. The next poster is called a compliance notice, and it tells you, look at there's a little signature. Let's see the little signature thing. It says, this office values compliance at the highest level. Therefore, we require all patients to review and sign their documentation and billing when each therapy session is complete. Thank you for your help. So what that's doing is it's ensuring that I sleep good at night, because look, I can't be in 20 states and 50 offices. How can I do that? So that's why you have a franchise. You create a franchise so that you can institute rules that are followed nationwide. And when I put these rules in place, and then we have checks and balances to make sure they happen, I sleep great, and so should you. Because look, I don't want anything to be wrong. I want everything to be perfect. So our goal is perfect compliance, perfect documentation, perfect billing, perfect. Okay. So here's the next thing. And I write these newsletters to our doctors. Like, I author everything. Okay. Whatever these doctors have read, I've written it. And so I write newsletters about different topics, but I've written a couple on compliance. And so I was at a FedEx office the other day printing this stuff out so I could show you this, compliance manual and stuff. And this one, I didn't realize when I made it that it was going to be so awesome. Check this out. So it prints out like newspaper, and also is going to make a fantastic poster in the office. So this was a newsletter that I wrote to doctors, but I don't write anything to my doctors that I wouldn't read directly to you. Let me give you some examples. So one of the articles I wrote says fraud, the most terrible F word. Now this is written in July. Okay. So this is, it's not written. It's written July 1st. Okay. Which is before I saw that email, by the way. So it's not like I just went and wrote this, and because I was reacting to this, crappy email. This is what I teach our doctors. So fraud, the worst F word. I wrote an article about perfect documentation. Perfect documentation that matches billing perfectly is the number one key in billing compliance. I wrote an article on quarterly mandatory billing audits because we audit our own bills. I was talking to Dr. Harper in Birmingham the other day, and I said, hey, doc, just confirm for me, do you ever just spot check your bills? And he said, no, I don't spot check my bills. I was like, oh, come on. He said, no, I check every bill, 100% of them. I personally check them before they go out. That's how we do it. Okay. We are fanatical about compliance. You're not going to worry about if we're going to be in jail 2 years from now. Okay. I've been doing this since 2007. There's a reason that we're still doing it, and other people are dropping like flies, because we put cleanliness, compliance with godliness. Next article, mandatory documentation and billing self-audits for all new employees. So we've got a rule that all new treatment staff have to do billing audits, their own self-audits of their own documentation that you have to sign when you're the patient for the first 50 patient visits they ever do. That seems like overkill, right? Not to me, just sounds just right. And then the last one was about maintaining that compliance binder I just showed you. So, we write these things, that's funny. I write these things because I've got all the experience in the world on OWCP. I've got more experience in OWCP than all of your OWCP reps combined. And it's not that I don't know about union stuff. I mean, I've learned a lot along the way. I've been fortunate to have fantastic union friends that have given me a lot of the inside baseball stuff so that I can teach you better. I've learned a lot of the tactics on calling OSHA and EEO claims and those things from union presidents. I've got union presidents like Rich Ray who will send me an email, say, hey, check this out. And then I'll send him an email saying, hey, can you double check me on this? So, I've got friends in the unions that help me do a better job for you. But you know what? I write all this stuff because I want our doctors to be so good that you leave there going, I can't believe how good this is. So that's what we're doing. So those are, some of the ways we promote compliance in our offices. We don't hide it. Like I said, we do not hide it. If you're not with federal injury centers, I challenge you to go to your doctor and ask them what they do about compliance. Because if you want to worry about somebody, worry about someone who doesn't even think about compliance. Don't worry about us, right? Because we're thinking about it. We care about it. We put it into action every day. I mean, I tell our doctors that compliance is built into the system for us. I mean, you have to, as a patient, sign in when you get there. What does that do? It proves that you showed up, right? That we're not billing for somebody that wasn't there. And then you have to sign your documentation when it's complete, which proves that everything we did was accurate, right? So you should feel freaking great about that. And if you have a union person or anybody, a manager, a claims examiner, a nurse case manager, anybody that tells you, hey, you shouldn't go there, set them straight, okay? Because they haven't taken time to check us out. But they should. They should check us out. So in an effort to introduce who we are, let me just give you some bullet points that I wrote. And look, again, I'm kind of nerdy, so I spent some time on this. Those of you that watch every week know I never do this. I don't take notes. I just kind of go. But I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So let me read a few things to you. Who is Federal Injury Centers? Who is Federal Injury Centers? Number one, we're the nation's only federal franchise for injured federal workers. We're not the only healthcare franchise. There are other franchises. The Joint is a chiropractic franchise. American Family Care is a franchise. There's a lot of healthcare franchises, actually. There's
all the walk-ins.
There's Physical, that's a physical therapy franchise. There's a Health Source, which is a franchise that is based around chiropractors and medical. So we're not the first medical franchise. We're just the first one that focuses on you. Number one or two, our purpose is to solve the problem of you not having enough trained doctors. That's why we did this. I've been doing this for my entire adult life. And for the most of the time, I was in one doctor's office. And I worked for that doctor for 21 years. And you know why he's not in business anymore? Because he sold, not because he committed fraud. Because he got old and he sold his practice. But not because of anything fraudulent, because we've been using this compliance program since before I had this company. It works. Three, we have fully trained offices in 20 states right now. It was more states, but as I said, I've kicked out a few doctors. That's just the way it goes. Because I care about you more than me. If I only cared about my money, I would keep everybody. I'd just keep all the doctors and say, just do your best, right? But I care about you. So they had to go. Four, our primary focus is getting claims accepted. Nationwide, 1 in 7 people has an accepted claim. That's an awful stat, 1 in 7. If you think that sounds good, then you might be in the wrong place. That's terrible. Our goal is 100%. 100%. And that's what you should expect. And when you're union people or anyone, and look, I'm not union bashing tonight. If you're on here and you're in a union and we're friends, look, I'm not bashing unions. I'm just saying, when someone tells you don't get help, that might be the wrong thing. And they might want to just give me a phone call and say, hey, am I wrong? Tell me where I'm going wrong. And I'll be glad to do it. 4, I have personally been doing OWCP for 15 years. I've been in healthcare for my entire adult life, literally, okay? I've trained at countless union meetings and conventions. I've recorded, this puts a smile on my face. I've recorded over 1,000 hours of training videos for you. Now, I've done all of these union conventions. I've done over 1,000 hours of these live videos. Do I look like I'm hiding? Somebody that's worried about their freedom probably hides a little bit. Over 1,000 hours of this. I just think you should be, just consider that. I've authored 3 books. I put them out there. Everyone knows who I am, and everyone knows who I am. I'm not hiding. Okay. We do things the right way. You should let someone know. Federal Injury Centers is the compliant OWCP injury practice. That's why it really upsets me when someone says that, these types of companies, there's never been a company like this. There's never been a company that puts compliance as chapter 1 in its training manual. And by the way, since I got that email or saw it, and by the way, the reason I got the email is a patient brought it into one of my offices. It's not like we just hacked somebody. One of you brought it to us. So thank you for that, by the way. I appreciate the loyalty. But we're the compliant practice. Nobody else does compliance like us. We're multidisciplinary, okay? We have medical doctors as well as chiropractors, as well as nurse practitioners, PAs, PTs, occupational therapists. So don't let anybody tell you can't go to the chiropractic office because the chiropractic office is loaded with other people. That's important. And these chiropractors want to help you, whereas all these other doctors are running from you. You've heard me say, for every 1 doctor that tells me yes, at least 100 tell me no. So these doctors said yes. Give them a chance. I mean, they're here for you. Without you, they'll do something else. They'll just do car wrecks all day long, which is probably boring. It is. As a franchise, we have to follow. Now, check this out. We have to follow Federal Trade Commission rules, FTC, in addition to OWCP rules, in addition to state board rules from doctors, medical doctors, chiropractors, PTs, OTs. We have to follow their rules. Plus, we have to follow all the state rules. We have all these rules we have to follow. If we weren't following those rules, would we be here? I assure you, doctors would not be around to be in federal injury centers if they didn't follow all the rules they have to follow. And our doctors aren't felons. I told you, you're not going to find mugshots anywhere. We are a friend to the unions. Okay, that's who federal injury centers are. We're your friend. We're here to help. We're here in support. I respect your union OWCP reps. I feel sorry for them in many cases because they got to be overwhelmed. There's so few of them and so many of you, but they're doing the best they can. I respect it. Many of them use me as a resource, okay, not as a substitute. I'm not a substitute for a union. How could I be? Look, I don't know what's in your contract like you do. I'm not a union person like you are. I'm here to help you. That's it. And a lot of the folks recognize that and use my help when they're allowed to, but some of them are not allowed to call me, which is a real shame for you. We educate you about OWCP and we answer all your questions, obviously. So that's one thing we're about. You're here right now. In a minute, I'm going to answer questions. Probably a few minutes. Hang in there. We build networks of specialists. So that's another thing that's unique about us where there's no other company like ours. Okay, what we did is we said, gosh, all right, we got the patient in. We were able to get a claim accepted, but now nobody will take these people. And they need MRIs and they need surgeries and they need psychiatry sometimes and they need pulmonology sometimes. And so what we've done is we're building a network of specialists around our franchisees that aren't franchise doctors. We're just going out and finding these people because it's good for you. And we're saying, look, here's the deal. We'll get these claims accepted. We'll send the person over to you. Will you just do the work, please, and bill OWCP? All right. And in many cases, we do their billing for them just so they can help you. If I were looking out for my own best interest, is that something I would do? No, that's for you. You need it. Nationwide, all franchisees are required to follow the same franchise rules and adhere to the same compliance standards. That is the value of this franchise. Many of you are forced to go to other doctors who are independent doctors, individuals. And I can't, attest to what they do. I don't know what their rules are, what their standards are. I don't know what they're doing. I know what we're doing. I know what we're required to do. And all of our doctors know what they're required to do as well. Some of them are going to jump on tonight, and I'm sure they're going to attest to this. Yeah, Chris holds us to the highest standards. That's the way it is. The highest standards. We have a compliance lawyer, a healthcare lawyer. We have a franchise lawyer, and we have a lawyer advisor in the form of Eric Blowers, who is a former FBI agent. So, we take legal very seriously. I don't just have lawyers to protect me in case I get in trouble. I have lawyers to keep me out of it. Everything we do, we get lawyers or legal opinions, and that's not cheap. Okay. Lawyers are not cheap. Some of you've had to have lawyers and but we do that because we want to make sure that we're at the very top of our game when it comes to compliance. So we do it. Okay. We don't even think about it. We just do it. We use an outside billing and compliance expert also. So we've got a guy who is a certified billing encoder, and he's a compliance expert. In fact, we're in the middle of quarterly billing audits. This is what we do. It's our standard procedure. And we're sending a representative sampling outside to be looked at externally. So we do our own internal stuff and we send it out. So we're always checking our own work. And, we accept the feedback. If we find a mistake, we fix it. We write new policies, new procedures. We do new training. If somebody does something wrong, we fire them. That's the way it goes. And lastly, the last bullet point about who is federal interest centers, we require all employees in all offices to undergo continuous compliance training and exercises. All employees at all doctors' offices are required to go through all of the compliance training 4 times a year. Not once at the beginning, not once a year, 4 times a year. We put our doctors and their staff through so much compliance training that when they're at the dinner table, they mistake other words for the word compliance. Right? We do compliance all the time. And that's so you don't have to worry about it. And so we don't have to hear about crazy emails from people who don't know us. Get to know us a little bit. You'll know you don't have to send that email out. And so the next thing I have on here is what's a franchise? So a lot of people don't really understand what this is. So think McDonald's and Chick-fil-A are like 2 super famous franchises, right? Well, those franchises have to follow the same rules that I have to follow because I'm a franchise. It doesn't matter I'm in a different industry. I'm also in the franchise business, right? So as a franchise, it's called a franchisor when you own the franchise. I'm required to follow all these rules to maintain my status. Every year, we have to go through a full audit, a full audit every single year of our franchise. Now, we're on this is our 3rd year, so we're going through our 3rd audit, or our 2nd audit. We didn't have to go through the audit the first time. So we're going through it right now. Nobody has to be held to the high standards that we're held. No independent doctor, no solo practitioner, nobody has to go through and maintain the same levels of standards that we have to maintain. When I was managing the practice in Texas, where I learned all of this, in Texas, we had a thing called CARF. It was a Commission for Accreditation of Rehab Facilities. And CARF had like thousands of standards you had to meet in order to be CARF certified. Well, I was CARF certified. I led it. Okay, just like this. I write all the policies. I write all the procedures. I wrote everything. I was CARF certified for 10 years in the state of Texas. The last time that I did it, we had the highest CARF report card in the history of it. Out of however many thousand standards we had to meet, I only missed 3 partially. It's the best that's ever been done. This is what we do. We maintain high standards, and it comes from my whole history. And so I just brought that to federal injury centers. But, there's other ones. You've heard of the Joint. The Joint Chiropractic is a franchise. If you're in Birmingham, you are aware of American Family Care. There are other places too, but that's a franchise. And these franchises have to hold themselves to high standards. But it's not like we're the only medical franchise. I mean, this isn't a new thing. It's just new for the federal world. We only do this. We're a franchise for federal workers' comp. So we create the rules, policies, and procedures for the doctors to work within. That's important. So I'm not a doctor. I can't tell doctors how to treat, how to make medical decisions, and I don't even attempt to. In fact, it's against our compliance standards for me to try to influence their medical decision-making. We don't do that. It's against the rules. But I do get to set the rules, like they can't charge you money out of your pocket. I get to set rules like they can't ask you for an insurance card. I get to set rules like if you don't get the claim accepted, you must continue treating, okay? You never give up, ever, ever, ever. I set rules like, oh, that report wasn't good enough, write another one. They have to. So I'm able to set these rules up, including these compliance standards, because of the franchise. The fact that you go to federal injury centers should make you think, wow, I'm going to a place that's got their act together, that puts, all of this at the highest level, compliance. So that's what a franchise is. And, you should be glad that if you're at federal injury centers, you should be glad about it. So I know there's got to be a lot of questions. Okay, well, there's some questions, but I want to just go through briefly and tell you what's in this compliance manual, and then I'm going to start answering your questions, okay? So hang in there with me. But our first chapter in the compliance manual is DOJ fraud enforcement. All of my offices are required to read Department of Justice reports on the past jerks that went to jail defrauding the system. I make everyone, even the receptionist at every office, everybody's got to read this and learn about what all these people did wrong. And I'm just going to summarize it real quick. The first one they have to read is a guy named Lennon Perez. Anybody heard of him, NALC? You should have, because he was a letter carrier president in Tampa. When he left there, he had an under-the-table deal with a doctor, and he was charged with conspiracy to pay kickbacks for referring injured federal workers. The guy was getting kickbacks. So the first person that we read about is a union president. But it happened. Sadly, guy went to jail, had a heart attack in jail or something. He never made it out. I don't want that to be me, okay, obviously. And then the next one that so many of you have heard of is Teamwork Ready. All of my offices are required to read about Teamwork Ready, who committed conspiracy, healthcare fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, submitted $9.6 million in false and fraudulent claims, provided professional physical therapy services from unlicensed people, which is all the way a no-no, billed for one-on-one care that wasn't provided, billed for patients who did exercises alone, like you're at the gym by yourself. They were billing for that stuff, which is definitely a no-no. And they had unlicensed people trying to coerce the chiropractor to order medically unnecessary treatments. There's so much wrong with that sentence. Chiropractors don't order medical treatments. Medical doctors do. And unlicensed people cannot coerce a licensed person to do anything, including go to the bathroom. So these guys did everything you could possibly do wrong. And they set OWCP back decades. And that's the reason we have to have this talk today, because they pulled that crap. And so now your union presidents wonder if we're part of Teamwork Ready. I was in Atlanta at a really nice guy. I mean, he's a union president. We stopped by in Atlanta. And before I could hardly say hello, he said, "Are you with Teamwork Ready?" I'm like, no, I don't even know those guys. Never met them. Don't know any of them. Don't want to know any of them. So union treatment centers, we read about them who submitted false claims to OWCP, billed for services not rendered, overcharged for medical exams, and paid and received kickbacks for patient referrals, which we don't do. We don't pay for you to come to our office. You show up or you don't show up, but there's nothing in it for you except for a good report and good treatment, and you get back to work. When you read another one where 8 people were indicted, they paid doctors to send prescriptions to the pharmacy. This is pharmacy. They paid doctors to prescribe compound creams. They sent refills that weren't needed. I mean, there was somebody who had like a medicine cabinet full of these tubes of compound creams. They were like 15, 20,000 a piece. And they just kept sending them, which is, just stupid. So they sent refills that weren't needed. And every patient who received the compound received the exact same compound. In other words, the same formula for everybody, like everyone had the same injury. That's just dumb too. And then there was another one. This one just really irritates me. 28 people charged with fraud. 28 people charged with fraud. Bribes, unnecessary treatment, fraudulent billing, falsified documentation. Bill for patients when the provider wasn't even there. See, we make you sign in and we make you sign sign the notes. If our doctor isn't there, you're not signing the notes, okay? But if our doctor is not there, the office is closed and the lights are off, guaranteed. They asked and paid patients to falsify documentation on days they weren't in the office. So the patient wasn't there, but when they did come back, they said, hey, will you sign this? I wasn't there. That's a way you can get in trouble. If anybody from Federal Injury Centers ever asks you to do that, call the cops, okay? Because they have it coming. That's not something that could be possible for us. We've got systems in place to prevent that. It's so ridiculous. This one really upsets me. Fraudulent psych reports for diagnosis expansions. And claims examiner accepting bribes to expedite payments and decisions. So this guy, the senior claims examiner supervisor, retired, and he was bribing other claims examiners who still were there to accept new diagnoses on diagnosis expansion reports. At the time, they were called upgrades. Well, knowing what I know, especially now, that's so ridiculous to me because our doctors can get a diagnosis expansion done without bribing anybody. It's just like write a good report. So I don't know why this was necessary to bribe anybody. Do a good job and it's done. But, 28 people charged with fraud. So our people are required to read that. They have to know what all these jerks did in the past, and we're not one of them. All right, so pass it on. Chapter 2 is the False Claims Act. I make them know if someone shows up with a badge, this is what they're going to be charging you with, so you better know what the law is. So I make them read the law. And Chapter 3 is the OIG, the Office of Inspector General, components of an effective compliance program. So the Federal Register published several years ago what the OIG says should be in your compliance program. Conduct internal monitoring and auditing. Check. Implement a compliance and standards, practice standards. Check. Designate a compliance officer. Check. Every office has one, and I'm the compliance officer for my company as a whole. Conduct compliance training and education. Check. Respond to detected offenses and develop corrective action. Check. Develop open lines of communication. Check. I'm going to show you how we do that. And enforce disciplinary standards through well-publicized guidelines. And believe me when I tell you, we enforce. Okay, we don't play around. So that was Chapter 3. Chapter 4 is these special compliance rules. So if you're getting bored, I'm really sorry. Just refill your glass of wine or whatever. It'll make you feel better. But I got to go through this because we can't have more people emailing telling you don't go to these people because they're like somebody else some asshole in the past who set OWCP back. That wasn't us. It was someone else. You don't paint everybody with the same brush, just like I don't paint all union presidents with Lenin Perez's brush. Okay, I don't look at all of you and say you're all frauds because one guy did it. Right? Seriously, just a little bit of common sense will go a long way, and you guys need the help. All right, we're not them. But anyways, I digress. Let me go on this. So here are the rules that everybody has to follow. As if there haven't been other rules that I've read to you already. We got tons of them. I'm summarizing. Exercises must be one-on-one. When you're on the exercise floor, you're with somebody with a license, unlike Teamwork Ready, where people were just working out by themselves. No cutting corners on timing units. Some codes that we bill are based on time. We don't cut corners on those, okay? The time is what the time is. One-on-one means one-on-one, okay? If a doctor's supposed to be one-on-one with you, they're not one-on-one with you and 3 other people. The medical doctor runs the show and signs everything. A PA and a nurse practitioner can write reports and sign everything as long as there's a counter signature. Physical therapy is done under medical doctor direction and supervision, and billing must be done by the licensed person. In other words, you can't bill for stuff if the licensed person wasn't there, which is kind of common sense. Billing and documentation must always be accurate and match perfectly. Perfect billing and documentation is the standard. Patients always sign their documentation after it's complete to ensure that it's perfect. Everything must be based on medical necessity and not money. If it's not medically indicated, we don't do it, period. We don't do things just because you can make money. There's a stupid device called a P-stem, okay? And what it did is it punctured the earlobe, and it sent an electrical impulse, and it was almost like acupuncture. went down the neural pathways and was supposed to reduce pain. Well, some sales guy for the P-stem told all the doctors that because it punctures the skin, that's a surgical code, which is so stupid, okay? It's not surgical because it punctures the earlobe. So all these doctors were doing it because some sales guy told them to do it. And then what turned out is everybody needed it because it reimbursed so well. Well, guess what? We didn't use P-stem, but a lot of doctors did that aren't with federal interest centers, and they're not doctors anymore. So we only do things that are medically necessary. We follow all state and federal laws and all board rules. Treatment staff follows the doctor's orders as written, period. No kickbacks, enough said. We follow all laws, rules, and regulations at all times. We get legal opinions as needed. We don't do bribery, and we don't do referral fees. We only treat legitimate work injuries under OWCP. If you got a problem that's outside of work comp, you got health insurance. We'll still help you, but we won't use work comp. CA-17s are filled out based on need, not based on money. If it doesn't need to be filled out, we're not doing it just because we can get $75 for it. And CA-17s are based on medical necessity. Nobody gets taken off of work for any other reason. We had a guy a long time ago who called a doctor friend of mine who's not in the network with us, but he's a good guy. And the patient asked him if he could get a CA-17 to take him off of work to go on vacation. I said, don't ever ask that question again. All right, that's not how we do it. No kickbacks or bribes in marketing, period. Like, you just come or don't, but we're not paying you to get here. Unlicensed people don't dictate treatment to doctors. That means me. I don't tell doctors how to treat. I don't tell doctors how to make medical decisions. I'm not a licensed person. That includes me. We do quarterly billing and documentation audits, which we're doing right now. We don't incentivize staff to bring in new patients. Nobody gets paid to bring you in. You come or don't, but we're not paying anybody to get you here. We don't ask unions for referrals or endorsements, which is crazy because I had a particular union. You can go back and read the letter that I posted online directly from the union's lawyer, who said, be sure you make it clear we don't endorse you. So I made it clear. They don't endorse me because I don't want it. Not looking for the union's endorsement. I'm looking to help you. You know, I know people in the past that have taken union presidents out to these extravagant steak dinners and, you know, $100 meals or whatever else. And my answer was, how did that help the members? It didn't. So we don't participate in that. All personnel must read the manual and sign the agreement to follow at all times. So our people also have to sign every quarter that they will continue to follow the policies in this manual. So Chapter 5 is compliance training, a check sheet. So we test everyone after they read it. Chapter 6 is compliance questionnaires. We ask them things like, are you noticing anything that just doesn't feel right? Is there any of your coworkers that you think maybe dishonest? Are you seeing any overcharging? Does anything just seem bad? We ask them a bunch of questions because we always want to know. We don't want to be caught off guard by some, maybe like an employee who's got bad intentions. So we check everything all the time and we ask everyone to let us know. We do internal billing audits. We have other training topics. That's Chapter 8. Chapter 9 is compliance emails and memos. So like the last couple of weeks, I sent out a bunch of those. So my compliance manual has all the emails I sent out regarding compliance. Compliance newsletters is Chapter 11. I've got another one in there. I won't bore you with it, but I've got another one, not just the one I showed you. And 12 is a compliance officer job description because in all things we write it up. And so we train our compliance officers in every office how to do their job so that we can do this thing really good and have perfect compliance. So other compliance items we use, compliance posters, I showed you those, newsletters, training video. I recorded a 45-minute training video that went out to all of our franchisees explaining how to do compliance. I mean, we are like, yeah, I know. As if we didn't have a tight enough ship already. I just thought I'd add that one thing. So we also have a video everyone's required to watch quarterly. You're like, oh, the same video 4 times a year? Yeah, get used to it. That's the way it goes. Self-audits, signing documentation, time in and time out. We make sure that we document exactly when you got there and exactly when you leave so that all the billing fits inside of that time in and out. No bribes, kickbacks, referral fees, no patient referrals. Okay. So that's pretty much it. I've got these other, I don't know why I added more franchise roles as if we didn't have enough, but hey, why not? This is the last part. Nobody ever pays us anything. So you heard me say that. We get paid by OWCP. We don't offer anything in exchange for patients. We're not a referral service. So you can ask me, what doctor should I go to? And I'll tell you, I don't know. Check my website. And if there's an office there that makes sense, go there. If you like another doctor, go there too. But I'm not a referral service. Treatment has to be medically necessary. Treatment staff are required to do their self-audits. Chiropractors can do physical therapy, so just know that. The Code of Federal Regulations says so. We promote our compliance to patients. That's why we have all these posters that we're posting around the office. Patients have to sign their documentation to make sure they're accurate and truthful. We don't take anyone off of work unless it's medically necessary. We don't prescribe addictive narcotics. And we're not involved in pain creams. Forget that nonsense. We encourage patients to choose whatever doctor they want, even if it's not us, and I will still help you. And many of you know that already. Just the other day, I helped a doctor in Iowa, in fact, write a narrative. I don't have any doctors in Iowa, but there was a lady who needed that help. So I helped that doctor. That's what we do. Who else would do that if it wasn't in your best interest? Because that takes time. Like, oh, I'm not getting paid for that, and I don't care. I never even thought about it. The help was needed. We never give up, okay, ever. That's part of the rules. We never quit. If something gets denied, we just keep fighting. We never stop, ever. We don't ask patients for insurance cards, copays, deductibles, etc., and patients always sign in to prove they were there. We don't bill for anything that didn't happen. So that's everything in compliance, and I swear that took 55 minutes for me to say. What does that tell you? And I was rushing through it. We have a complex compliance program, or as Joe would say, a robust compliance program. We make sure everybody does everything right all the time. So for someone to send an email out that says, offices of these type or these types of offices, and, they're going to get in trouble and it normally takes 2 years. Look, buddy, I've been around for a long time. I've trained a lot of doctors around the country, and you're welcome, because guess what? All the members of all the unions have help in all these places they never had help before. And we do all of this with the strictest compliance principles. So pass it on. If you're watching tonight, I hope you'll share this video. It's never going to be deleted. We're going to be here. You'll be able to replay it over and over and over. But I want you to just let people know that they don't need to be scared to go to federal injury centers. They need to be scared not to, because the consequences of a denied claim are terrible. They're awful, okay? The words of Rich Ray are always in my head. Chris, I'm tired of seeing my carriers go homeless. Listen, I hear you loud and clear. If one of our franchisees were to commit fraud, it would destroy the system. Look, I'm self-aware. I can look in the mirror. I understand. We've gotten so big, it could hurt. So we take this stuff seriously. Let everybody know. So that's compliance. I'm going to spend as long as it takes to answer questions.
Can you talk about?
So Jeannie's over here, and she said that I should explain to you how we get paid.
Because we get this every single time.
Yeah, people want to ask me all the time. It's funny. I have like a heckler in a crowd. Yeah, but how do you get paid? Which is fine, because like everything else, I'm not hiding from it. So let me tell you. I mentioned we're a franchise like all the other franchises. Do yourself a favor. Get the Inc. magazine when they do the Inc. 500, or do Entrepreneur when they show the top franchises, and just scroll and tell me if there's such a thing as a franchise who does not collect the franchise fee. We all do. Okay, so we collect franchise fees up front. We have different levels of franchise fees depending on how the doctors want to pay royalties. We let the doctor choose. We're indifferent. So then after we collect our franchise fee, the doctor pays an ongoing monthly royalty. But get this, nobody gets paid. Nobody gets paid if your claim doesn't get accepted. Nobody gets paid if your claim doesn't get accepted. Nobody gets paid. I don't get paid. Nobody gets paid. And why should we? Because you lost your benefits. Your claim wasn't accepted. Why should anyone get paid? But that's how it works. And so then Federal Injury Centers is like a real life company. We're an S corporation. We pay employees. We pay ourselves. We work like any other company. We use, ADP for payroll. We're a real company.
We're not a kickback.
Yeah, we don't get kickbacks. Okay, I get paid from my company after my company gets paid from the doctors. After the doctors do a good enough job to get paid.
As all.
And that's how it should be. That's how all franchises work. That's, McDonald's doesn't make $1 till they sell a cheeseburger. Okay, we don't make $1 till we get a claim accepted. A claim accepted is our cheeseburger, and we do it good. Okay, in fact, our cheeseburgers are better than McDonald's for sure.
And Chick-fil-A.
They're maybe not better than Chick-fil-A, because Chick-fil-A is pretty good. All right, ask me some questions.
All right, there's a Craig Washburn asking, such as second opinions and the referee reports, unless their doctors are just MDs.
So I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Craig. I'm sure you're making a fantastic, valid point, but I just kind of missed it. If you could maybe restate, that would help me. Sorry.
All right, we got Dr. Burns on.
Dr. Burns, what's up? She's in the Tampa area. She works with Gulf Coast Rehab, Dr. Lee, Dr. K, Dr. Suma, Dr. Free. What's up, Dr. Burns?
We have Dr. Woywood in San Antonio.
Dr. Woywood in San Antonio. He's one of our newer offices. Still trying to get things off the ground, but I think he's making real progress. We're excited about San Antonio. There's a lot of federal employees in San Antonio. So welcome to the show, Dr. Woodwood. And hey, the doctors that are on are getting another compliance lesson tonight.
Dr. Giuliani.
Dr. Giuliani in Miami. Look, we got so many people on tonight. So what happened is they knew we were going to be talking about this, and he's like, well, we better step in and pay attention. So Dr. Giuliani is in Miami. She is fantastic. She's got such a beautiful office, and she's helping a lot of people. She's especially helping a lot of people from the VA hospital. I think she's about to be helping some prison folks, and she does a lot of postal employees.
Yeah.
And FAA. Yeah. So she's doing really good work in Miami. Check her out.
Got Dr. Courage, which needs to list his phone number and address.
Dr. Courage from my favorite city in the whole wide world, South Bend, Indiana. Go Irish. So, welcome to the show, Dr. Courage. You have to remind me what you just said.
He needs to put his phone number and address.
Oh, hey, Dr. Courage, do us all a favor. Do everybody in northern Indiana a favor, and southern Michigan, and list your address and phone number so everyone can know.
Craig Washburn says, has everything been worked out at your Tallahassee location?
Craig, great question. He asks, has everything been worked out at the Tallahassee location? Craig, 2 weeks ago, I was in Tallahassee, and I did a full day training myself. I did that. Dr. Dorfman is the practice owner there. Dr. Dorfman and I are in close contact every day, including today. He's the one that was showing me his compliance manual today. All the doctors are trained there. He just hired a new nurse practitioner there. Things are going really well in Tallahassee office. His case manager is really strong. So I appreciate your patience. There's a ramp up period that happens with all new people. When you get hired at your job, there's a huge training, or there should be, just like with us. And so I realized that, we needed to do some more. So we went back and did some more. But I did it personally because that's what happens. If something's not going exactly right, I just fix it myself.
Dr. Woywood said, never surrender, never give up.
That's my thing. Dr. Woywood, never surrender, never give up. That's exactly right. I got that email and it hurt my feelings and it kind of knocked me down a little bit. And I realized, wait, I didn't get here by giving up just because somebody didn't know something. So, that's what we're doing. We're educating you about who we are. So you'll stop saying those nonsense things.
Okay, Beth Lindsay says, the specialist I'm seeing about my wrist gave me a doctor's note about what I could and couldn't do because she didn't want me to lift more than 10 pounds with my right wrist. Only my postmaster wouldn't let me come back to work. And I could case my route and I could deliver my route, just couldn't pick up packages. So what do I need to do so I can work?
Well, you need to get your claim accepted if it's not. That way that if they won't let you work, you can get paid to be out of work. I'm getting the sense that you're probably a rural carrier. Rural carriers get the short end of the stick all the time because most post offices won't allow limited duty assignments. But regardless of what union you're with, I would encourage you to go to a union rep and ask them to fight like hell to help you get back on the job. Like I always say, the surest way to get paid is to clock in. I think you're figuring that out, obviously. So I would tell you got to get your union to get involved. The best a doctor can do is write a CA-17 with accurate restrictions. Now the union and the doctor have got to work together to work this out.
Judy says, I got denied 2 prescriptions today I needed before surgery and had to pay out of pocket. What do I do to get reimbursed?
Okay, so this person was denied their prescriptions and had to pay out of pocket. To get reimbursed, your case has got to get accepted. And then you fill out an OWCP 915 and attach your documentation or your receipts and turn that in. That's a claim for reimbursement. So when you spend money out of your pocket, that's how you get it back.
We have Mary Golden. Tanya Fieri.
Hey, Tanya.
Ron.
Both of you tell your husbands I said hello. Ron, what's up, my man?
And Jerry Gatewood.
Jerry Gatewood. I love it when my old friends are on here.
I know.
It just feels good. I appreciate you always coming back. Jerry and Mary have been with me almost since day one. Ron and Tanya have been with us for about a year, maybe a little more, or 2. It's really nice to have so many people coming back all the time, which is another clue too, because we really develop a friendship here. If you're part of Wednesday Night Chats, then you're part of a network of people that are helping each other all the time. And I love going places and meeting people. I met Tanya, I met Mary, I met Jerry, I met Ron. I love going and meeting all of you. So I'm looking forward to opportunities to meet all of the rest of you.
Dr. Woywood said his 6th edition impairment rating will be complete this week.
Dr. Woywood is finishing up his 6th edition training on impairment rating. So in San Antonio, you will be able to get a schedule award. Good job, Dr. Woywood. Thanks for that.
Christina says, we need you here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fort Wavy Ortho. My doctor, he is amazing and also super frustrated with OWCP.
Yeah.
Very thorough with his documentation, dictation, and still couldn't understand all the denials. Delays in my care getting approved. Dr. Cooper, he's amazing.
Yeah, Dr. Cooper is a bad man. So yeah, we're not in Fort Wayne. The only Indiana location we have is South Bend. Go Irish. But you're welcome to go anywhere. Obviously, the choice of doctor is yours. If you have this like perpetual denied claim, do something about it. Don't sit at the red light forever if it's not going to turn green. Sometimes you're going to have to run the red light.
Leticia says, my case was accepted, but I was terminated from the post office. Can I still get COP?
Okay, so Leticia said that her case was accepted, but she was fired. Can she still get COP? So the rule is this: if you report your injury within 30 days, then you're eligible for up to 45 days of time off. I don't know anywhere in the rules, and nobody knows the rules better than I do, that states unless you get fired. So I think COP is pretty much locked in. Just make sure that that's happening. And get with your union. They shouldn't have fired you for having a work injury. That's a crime. That's an actual crime.
Carol Roher, you had a lot to say, which is good, but here's something that you guys need to know. It is not us that's stopping us from going into the branches and educating you guys. It is the unions.
Oh, yeah.
Not us.
Yeah. So, and I'm not trying to convict the unions. I'm not here to, to make the unions the enemy, because they're not. I love the unions. I'm the biggest fan of unions. In fact, I'm such a big fan of unions that some of you come on and you're like, what's your deal with the unions? I'm serious. Like, I'm a big fan, but sometimes somebody goes rogue and they send a crappy email out. So if we're not in training with the union, it's because we weren't invited. I'm happy to do it. If I get invited, I'll be there. I've done hundreds of union meetings, if not 1,000. And like I said, thousands of hours of this training. So keep coming back here and telling your friends. Even if I can't get to your local or your regional or your state or your national conventions, I'm here. And thank God for Gini coming up with this brilliant idea. So now we're broadcasting on 4 different social network platforms so we can get to a lot of people. But yeah, look, we want to come to your unions and do live trainings. It's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing. I've got presentations ready to go just for you. But we got to be invited. We got to be wanted.
So Adriana has an open claim. As a result of her injury, it got worse from her neck, shoulders, arm, and wrist. Nothing's been increased while working. She was injured at the VA in Houston, Texas. What does she do?
Well, if you're injured at the VA,
and her name is Adrian.
Adrian, chances are they told you had to go to the VA doctor, which almost certainly your claim got denied. I don't know when that was, but remember, you only have 12 months from the date of denial to do a reconsideration. So hopefully you've done that to keep the claim alive. And then you're going to have to find a doctor. I don't have any franchise doctors in Houston, but I do know that Houston, because I'm a native Texan, I know Houston has workers' comp doctors for federal. So Google it, OWCP injury doctor, Houston, Texas, and see what you find. You're not going to find federal injury centers. You might, but we don't have an office there. But you will find somebody who knows what they're doing, because I know for sure Houston has 2 or 3 qualified OWCP doctors. But we'll get there as soon as we can.
Sharna said, what do OWCP Form 1240-0016 mean?
I'm sorry, I don't know what OWCP Form 1240-anything means. I'm not sure that's an OWCP form. That may be agency specific. So I would say take that to your union and ask them. I'm sorry. I don't normally get stumped, but I've looked all up and down the OWCP forms page, and that's not one I've ever seen.
Hello to Wayne and Tanya G from LinkedIn.
Wayne and Tanya G from LinkedIn. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. We've only just recently started going live on LinkedIn, so it's nice to have people watch us from there. Thank you. I hope you're learning something.
Christy Lee says, if I need to drive 6 hours to a federal injury center so my already approved case can get on the right track, is work required to give me off? I seem to be having some issues getting a narrative accepted, although I have an approved claim. So
okay, your claim is approved. I don't know why you need a narrative accepted, but look, whatever you need, you need. Your work is not obligated to let you be off more than 4 hours in a work shift. when your claim's accepted. So that's going to be an issue. You may have to take vacation time. That's going to be rough to have to go 6 hours away for the doctor. If I were you, and again, this is me working against myself, I would tell you if it's possible, I'd find somebody closer to you, even if it's not federal injury centers.
Renee Marie said, did Joe find a potential Michigan doctor yet, or should I go whine to somebody all around here to work with y'all?
Renee, you don't have to whine. Listen, don't do that to yourself. We were at a couple of conventions in the last month to 6 weeks, and we did meet some folks in Michigan. So I know that, again, I'm not going to tell you to be patient because I'm not patient, but we're working on it. If we could just find one doctor to say yes. But, we get 100 saying no for everyone that says yes. What are you doing over there? She's sighing, so somebody wrote something bad. No? Oh, fantastic.
Carolyn Werland said, shout out to Courage Chiropractic and Wellness in South Bend, Indiana. Dr. Courage and his team, along with the advice from federal injury centers, advisors of my claim, and my claim was accepted in 43 days. Woo-hoo!
Accepted claim in 43 days. Now, I got to tell you, I hate that it took that long, but it beats the hell out of a denied claim. So good job, Dr. Courage in South Bend. Thank you for getting that claim accepted.
Okay, if you guys if we're not explaining something right to you guys, it's because I'm reading it from what you guys wrote. Send me a private message so then we could just do one-on-one messages to you.
Yeah, we're happy to answer everything, but if we don't understand the question, garbage in, garbage out. So we don't want to give a bad answer because everybody has to hear it, and I don't like giving bad answers.
Jeff said, who can I call to ask some questions about my claim? Been off with breathing issues from COVID. He's in Pittsburgh. He can go to Royersford.
Yeah, you can call the 877 number. You can send us a private message on Facebook. You can call the Royersford office directly. All of our offices have been specially trained on how to handle COVID claims. That's another one that I did the training myself. So, in fact, I even wrote the sample narrative for them all to use, and it just wins. So you can check them out.
Matt Howard said, how long does a reconsideration roughly take to get a decision?
Yeah, so the question is, how long does it take for a claims examiner to do anything? And there's no rules on that. It takes as long as it takes. What you want to do, if you feel like it's taking too long, is write a letter to the claims examiner and e-comp it and say, hey, what's going on? Be respectful, be polite, be direct. But when you send it by e-comp, they're required to review it. If you call, you may go to their voicemail and never know if they see it. But anything that's e-comp, they have to look at. And you have a DCN number with date and time of the upload. So that might be the way to go. And by the way, that was a recommendation from Attorney Eric Blowers, and I loved it. So pass that one on to your coworkers.
Okay, I'm going to read this one.
All right, read it.
It's Craig Washburn.
Okay, Craig, hang on. She's reading it.
What I was saying in my case is I'm now going to a referee appointment to an ortho doctor to determine if I can work sedentary work.
Okay.
OWCP advisor advised me on the phone they will consider a rebuttal to the second opinion, which led to the referee appointment. Only if my doctor is an ortho doctor as well. They will not give weight to a rebuttal if it's from an MD or a DO, which an ortho is a freaking MD. That's why I was saying I needed an ortho to write my rebuttal and to write my new medical consequential injury report for my right knee to get accepted at ECAB.
Okay, so ECAB is something I try to avoid. I think it's just too hard to predict the outcome of it, but you're already on that path. I don't think I caught where Craig's located.
You didn't say.
Yeah, Craig, if you're in Tampa, in the Tampa Bay area, I'd hook you up with a surgeon right away and you'd be good to go. But I can't say that everywhere, so I need to know where you're at. Your medical doctor can absolutely write a rebuttal. Whether they accept it or not is out of your control. But the good news about medical reports is that the truth is the truth. It's the truth. So if your doctor writes a true report, they have to consider it. So your worst case scenario is you get a good doctor who knows how to write good and e-comp that. It does sound like you're kind of in a tight spot, and I acknowledge that, but I'm trying to give you the best answer I possibly can give you.
Craig, are you questioning, Mark, that you are in Florida, or you're just questioning why Chris said Florida?
Yeah, it's because I set up a network of surgeons in Florida, if that's the question. Orthopedic surgeons, a couple of them are good friends of ours, so we could probably get you hooked up with them and let them evaluate your case. In other places, we could probably help you out. I just have to know where you're located. I'd like to help. Look, I can't do everything. I just do the most I can.
Mike Newman said, regret miss. When you answer him, say his name because he sent this right at the beginning. Regret missing the first 13 minutes. Bottom line, the VA is my provider, and I'm wondering how that's going to work if I end up injured on the job.
So, okay,
Mike
Newman, if you said the VA is your provider, what happens if you get injured on the job? Well, the law states that you can choose your own doctor. You have the right to choose any doctor you want. I actually made it a postcard today that I'm sending out to people that puts that particular rule on the card that says that your supervisors are actually required to tell you you can choose your own doctor, and you can't be forced to go to a doctor who's employed by or contracted with your agency, meaning you can't be forced to go to the VA doctor. So my recommendation, and this is not a knock on those world-class doctors that work for the VA, and they have an incredible job they have to do. They must be overwhelmed at times, but they are world-class doctors, but they're not trained in OWCP, right? So you have the right to go anywhere. You don't have to go to the OWCP or to the VA doctor ever. You can go anywhere you want to go. That's the law.
Mike Porto said, a big thank you to Dr. Cooper
Yeah.
and staff for their help from Wisconsin.
All right, man. You went from Wisconsin to Dr. Cooper's office. So that's something. I mean, we've got people that have gone from across state lines. We've had a couple of people saying that today to go to Dr. Cooper, in fact, which is a clue about Dr. Cooper. He's a machine. So if you get a chance, look him up at federalinjurycenters.com in the locations tab in Atlanta or in Georgia. He's got Forest Park, Georgia, and Phoenix City, Alabama. He's doing an incredible job. People swear by him.
Craig Washburn said, I am in Florida. He's seeing a doctor in Tampa.
Okay, well, you're in Florida. You're seeing a doctor in Tampa. Send us a message on Facebook and let us see if we can get you connected with one of the surgeons we know. And the surgeon, look, I can't tell you what the surgeon's going to say, but if that surgeon evaluates your case and writes a report, you'd be in pretty good shape. So send us a message to see if we can help you out.
Delisa Burgess, if you need help with your case, please go to our website. Can you tell her so I'm not screaming?
So the website is federalinjurycenters.com, federalinjurycenters.com. And go to the locations tab. The states are alphabetized, so you just go to your state and find the city that's closest to you. If that makes sense to you, the phone number to the office is there. You can call.
Yeah, I won't be able to call her.
Yeah, so Jeannie's not going to be able to call you. We need you to call the office yourself. Remember, it's your right to choose. We're not a referral service. If I start referring you places, then I run the risk of breaking my own compliance rules, so I don't do it. But that's why we have the doctor's phone numbers on there. You can call them directly. If any of the offices make sense to you, give them a call. If you want to go to somebody else, do that. That's fine. As long as your doctor is good, you should go.
Christina Pentos said, if I had rewind. Christina said, if I had my MMI done, is there something else that needs to be done in forms to get a schedule award? It was done in February. I've been written numerous letters and heard nothing from HR DOL. I must be missing something. You
may be. So you got to attach your impairment rating from your doctor to a CA7, claim for compensation. Letter D at the top of the page says schedule award. You want to attach that, fill out the CA7 completely, and then turn that in. Your supervisor is supposed to turn that in within 5 days, but keep a copy of everything and just e-copy it yourself as well.
Tanika Harris, this is a good question. If you are accepted for 2 claims and you need to file CA7s, would you file the CA7 for one of the claim, or can you get paid for both at the same time?
Well, you can only be paid for 1 hour at a time. You can't have 2 hours like your 2 people. So if you have 2 injuries, they're only going to pay you for 1 hour. They're not going to pay you 2 hours when it's only 1, right? So if you're out and for an 8-hour shift, you're only going to get paid for 8 hours. You're not going to get paid for 16. So, talk to your claims examiner. This is a perfect opportunity to talk to your claims examiner and say, how do you want me to do this? Which one of these claims do you want me to send my CA7s on? Because they're not going to accept both and pay you for both. So this is a good chance to just communicate with the claims examiner and make sure that you're all on the same page. And then just send in on the one that the claim examiner tells you to.
Craig, I messaged you and I told you don't have to go to Tallahassee to see the ortho. You can see the one in Tampa.
Yeah.
He's in Tampa.
Yeah. We have We have orthos throughout Florida, so we can help you out closer. And again, like I said earlier, these are just doctors that we have talked to and that have agreed to help you. They're not franchise doctors with us. You won't be going to a Federal Injury Center's ortho in Tampa. But we do have orthos in Tampa that are willing to help.
Okay, just go ahead and repeat what you came on here and reread the letter and tell me what you're.
Okay, so I really appreciate those of you that have hung in there. We've been here an hour and 20 minutes. Tonight, I came on and I wanted to talk to you about how we do compliance. I showed you these, the posters that we hang in the office, and they're not like that. Okay, they're like first class 11 by 17 canvas prints, but I just printed them out on my own printer. I showed you our compliance manual and how all of our offices have to follow all the standards in this manual because I'm a standards guy, and so we're all required to do this. So all of our offices have to follow all these rules. I showed you, the newsletters that I send out. I think that was so cool. I didn't know it was going to turn into a poster. But when you're just awesome, that's what happens. So it didn't turn out like this, it turned out like that. And all of this happened. The reason I even brought it up is because one of the patients brought in a letter from a union president who told his people, I want to urge everyone to stay away and do not recommend these federal injury centers to our injured members. This company does not hold the best interest of the people we represent. In the past, a lot of these types of companies have had criminal charges pressed against them. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for the criminal charges to come about, and we don't want any of our members or branch officers to get caught up in any violations of the law or serving time in jail. It's a ridiculous nonsense email. Look, I understand union representatives wanted to protect your interest because that's their job, to protect your interest. But we are a network of doctors' offices, and we have a job to do too. And our job is to get your claim accepted, get you treated, and get you back to work so you can make it to retirement. Now, if any of that sounds bad, then there's other doctors. That's fine. Go to the other doctors. But that's our job. Get your claim accepted, get you better, and get you back to work. That's our job. We do it with the highest level of compliance. We follow rules that nobody else would even dream of following. We have steps in the office that a lot of doctors would say, well, that's inefficient. And I say, well, I don't care. You're going to do it because it's what keeps everything clean. We require that you sign off on your documentation, that you get to review it. Okay. So nobody, you can hire people. Imagine I can hire someone who could have bad intentions and do bad things, but I have checks and balances. So that person would not get away with it and I'd have a chance to fire them, which would be a great day. So, we put things in place so that you don't have to worry about it. You're not going to go to jail by your association with someone else. You can only get in trouble for things you do. You can't get in trouble for something that someone else does. And I cut this guy that wrote that email some slack because, he's not a lawyer. He's not a doctor. He doesn't have a license to practice law or medicine. He's a guy that was promoted to a point where his position is important, but he wasn't promoted through the legal or the medical field. He was promoted through, his agency. And I'm not calling out the agency. I'm not calling out the union. That's not my style. But if you're the guy who wrote the email, you shouldn't have written that email. Okay, you're hurting people because people are going to look at this and be scared and not get help. And people need help. When you get hurt at work, you need help. You don't need the same crap that you've been dealing with since the beginning of time, which is no doctors want you. No doctors will help you. No doctors will take OWCP, but they'll be glad to take your money. They'll take your health insurance. They'll take your deductibles and your copays. They're glad to take all that from you. But when they take the money from you, what else are they taking from you? All your benefits, because you can't get a claim accepted because you didn't file on OWCP. You filed on Blue Cross. You can't have a schedule award later on because it's not an accepted claim on OWCP. You're not going to have lifetime medical benefits, and your supervisors will try to fire you because you don't have an accepted claim. And many times they will be successful in doing so. When you go to a federal injury centers and you get your claim accepted, then you get paid to be out of work. Supervisors can't fire you for being injured. You're eligible for a schedule award down the line, and you're able to get help without paying money out of your pocket so you can get back to work. And by the way, because your claim is accepted, you got COP, you got LWOP. The time that you needed to be away from work wasn't time that you can't pay your bills at home now because you're still getting paid. So these are the things that we do. And we do all of this under the strictest compliance rules.
With attorneys.
With attorneys guiding us, with union presidents guiding us, with common sense guiding us, okay? If you just have a little bit of common sense, then you're not Lenny Perez. You're not Teamwork Ready. You're not Union Treatment Centers. You're not 8 people who try to defraud people, sending them stupid pain creams that they didn't need. And you're not 28 people that were paying bribes to claims examiners to get expansions approved that I could get approved in my sleep.
And we don't charge.
And we don't charge you out of your pocket. We don't charge anybody anything ever, no matter what. In the worst of scenarios, and we do the worst job ever, and we don't get your claim accepted, we'll still treat you. We just won't get paid. But that's bad for you. Us getting paid or not getting paid is not the problem. The problem is you not having your benefits. And that's why stopping denied claims is like the thing. Look here. Federal employees make this country go. When they break, we have to fix them. You know what this doesn't say? This doesn't say federal workers' comp is lucrative. We need more money. That's not what it says. It says we have to fix you. Our company is about you. You're number one. You're the whole reason we exist. If there were doctors doing this all over the place, you wouldn't need us. I wouldn't have had to create this company to fill that need. You have this need. So what I would ask you to do is pass this on, share this video. Is it a little rough? Yeah, it's a little rough. I'm feeling a little rough. You would too if you were me. I put everything in my life into this company to make it good, to make it great for you, and to keep it clean so we can do it forever. And so you don't have to look over your shoulder. So tell your union presidents that it's okay to go to federal injury centers, and tell them, by the way, that I don't want their endorsements. No offense. I love them. But I'm not in business for them. I'm in business for you. I don't need their endorsements. I need you to just read the books, be on the videos, hear the lessons, learn them, and don't get screwed in OWCP. That's what we all need.
And we get a percentage, and it's okay.
And we're a franchise. Our franchise, this is another thing. Someone said, yeah, but they're for profit. Look, man, for profit. The lights are on in my house, and they're not free. Okay, and this house isn't free. The car I have to drive to go places isn't free. And when I get in an airplane to fly to you and do the training for free, it wasn't free to me. It was free to you. This stuff is expensive. Of course we work for money. If I couldn't make money doing this, I'd have to go work at a Subway. I'd have to open a sandwich shop or do something else. And while I'm doing that, I'm not doing this. I have to make money, okay, because I have to survive in the course of helping you. Like I said, I could go do anything. I could quit tomorrow. I could just shut all this down. Wednesday Night Chats is gone. Federal Injury Centers is gone, and I'm gone. And I'd still be okay, but you wouldn't be. So tell your friends. Let everyone know you need this, and that's why we're here. We're not defrauding the government. We're not defrauding you, and we're not going to set OWCP back decades like those jerks, Team Work Ready. We're not doing that. Okay, we do things clean and by the book, and we check ourselves in a way that nobody else ever even thought of. All right, so we're the compliant federal workers' comp practice. We are the place you go when you want to sleep good at night. This is where you go. Tell your friends, tell your coworkers who are your friends. This is where you go.
We have Melissa Peterson from Federal Injury Centers of Roscoe, Illinois.
All right, Roscoe, Illinois. Melissa, thanks for being on. So we've got
YouTube.
On YouTube. So we've got like 3 or 4 offices in Chicago and north of Chicago. So if you're in Illinois, we've got plenty of offices up there. We're in 20 different states right now as far as the trained offices. There were some others that we had to let go. That's how it goes. Look, I'm not in it for my own money. I let some guys go. That's how it goes. But we're adding more people too. And when more offices get trained, because we've got several that are in the training phase, when they're fully trained, they'll be online. You'll be able to see them in our locations map. But right now we're in 20 different states. That's like 40 something offices that are trained in 20 states. So check it out at federalinjurycenters.com.
This is the last thing we're going to say from Christina. She said, amen. Stupid email, walking on eggshells, trying to get claims paid, which cause financial devastation, anxiety. We need people like this to help us. Thank you, Christina.
Christina, thank you. And I know that many of you have that same sentiment, and many of you are frustrated with people telling you, all these horrible things. Just know that if you want to know what's going on, come straight to me. I'll let you know. Like I said, I'll open the books and let you look at them. We have nothing to hide. I tell my doctors, if you treat everyone like they're out to get you, nobody can. That's in a video. It's recorded. Treat everyone like they're out to get you, nobody can. What does that tell you? I mean, we're doing everything with the highest level of compliance. Okay, it's at top of mind at all times. So anyways, I really appreciate everybody being on tonight.
Wait.
We went an hour and a half, and Jeannie's about to ask another question.
It's not a question. It's from Ron Speakman.
Ron.
He said, I'm here for anyone who needs help. Anyone across this country, send me a message. I am in USPS and will help. I have been fighting this fight for a while. I won't stop either. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, Ron's definitely in it. I remember the first time I ever talked to Ron, we were driving out of Alabama into Atlanta to go back to the airport because we were out training a union on workers' comp. And so, like I said, we fly everywhere on our own dime. We pay for the hotels, we pay for the cars, we pay for the food. Nobody pays me $1 to show up. That's my rule. Would it be easier if I had the unions pay for my planes? Of course, it'd be cheaper for me. But I like being able to say to you that it's free to you. And it can't be free to you if I charge you $1 anywhere. So I don't charge anybody anything ever. But anyways, on the way back to the airport, that beautiful 2-hour drive out of Birmingham, beautiful drive from Birmingham to Atlanta, Ron called. First time me and him ever talked, and I'm listening to him, and Ron had like the most horrible story I had ever heard, and I've heard them all. And that guy overcame. He's overcome it. Now he's helping teach it. He's learning how to do workers' comp through his union, and he's helping a lot of people. So do me a favor, don't call Ron at 2 a.m. His wife's not going to appreciate it. But that's a guy with skins on the wall, and he's got some stuff coming, by the way, that I'm super excited about. And as a friend, I'm not kicking him in the butt to make it happen faster. But when it does happen, him and his buddies, you guys are going to really like it. He's got some cool stuff coming that's going to really complement what we're doing here. So, Ron, thanks for being here, buddy.
Dan, you can call Dan in Pennsylvania, who's on, and Dr. Pendleton.
Yeah, hey, Dan. Dan, just put your cell phone number there, and I'll have everyone call you at 3 a.m. No problem.
Tanya said, no, that's not Tanya. Sheila Waldrop said, our union has failed us. I would not listen to them when it comes to my healthcare issues. She said, say it louder. We need your help locating competent doctors that know how to deal with the abundance of work comp paperwork and can treat our injuries.
What was her name?
Sheila Waldrop.
Hey, Sheila, listen, I appreciate what you're saying. Now, I will not be the person to say your union failed you because I'm not in the union and I can't speak to that. And I can tell you that I got union brothers and sisters myself that I'd go to war with any day. So I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush, just like this guy painted me with the teamwork ready brush. I understand you have your struggles with some people, but I want to be the one to say some of them are freaking great. But I hear you loud and clear, and I do appreciate the compliment. And thank you for your support.
Last compliment from your BFF, Tanya Fieri.
Tanya.
I sing praises to the whole world for FIC. Screw the union. Other injured workers listen to other injured workers, not the union. They don't know what they're doing.
Love you, Tanya. Love you very much. Thank you.
All
Say
right,
hi to Nina.
guys. Yeah, that's it.
All right. Hey, that's it.
If we miss anything, tell me.
Yeah, if we miss any questions, we'll get back to them.
Or private message.
We will, private message us. We'll go back in and make sure that we didn't miss any questions. If your question was asked and not answered, feel free and send it through Facebook Messenger, and we will get to it. I promise you we'll get to it. There's a lot of you and a few of us, but we work tirelessly all day and night doing this. I usually put about 12 or 14 hours in every day. My family doesn't see me. I work from home, and they don't see me. So I spend all day on this. All of my team spends all day on this. This is all we do. Morning, noon, and night, weekends. I mean, I'm writing policies on Saturdays and Sundays. So we're always here for you. We love you. We appreciate you. And we are not the most, we are the compliant office in federal workers' comp. So pass it on. Thank you for allowing me to rant, to get up on my soapbox tonight and tell you what we're doing, give you a little bit of my inside baseball so you can see what's going on in the background with us. And when you go to a federal injury center's office, be sure you make them let you review and sign their notes. If someone makes a mistake and forgets it, which they can do when they get busy, don't allow it. Don't leave the office without checking. I want you reviewing and signing off. I want you to leave there knowing that everything is clean, because that's the best thing. When you know it and someone sends some stupid email, you can say, no, you're totally wrong about this because you know it firsthand. And that's what we're trying to do. We're letting you know firsthand. We're communicating everything to you. We're wide open for you. So
thank you guys for all the sweet, they're saying a lot of sweet things right now. A lot.
I really appreciate all the nice stuff. And in fact, I could sit and read all the nice things all night long, but probably some of you want to get to bed or to dinner or something. So,
all right, we're going to end with this, and we're going to end. So get ready to.
We say bye more times than anybody else. There's
we're
a lot
like
of
Italians and West Indians.
So I do things. There's a couple of things I do more than anyone. I win more than anyone, and I say bye more than anyone. So I'll say bye again in a minute.
Okay, Ron Speakman said, "Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the shout out and all you and for all you continue to do as well. There's a reason why who we are. Cree and Jin don't ever change. Keep it going. Love y'all."
That's my boy.
Cree
All right.
and Jin.
Yeah. All right. So that's an ender. I'm ending on Ron Speakman tonight. So, hey, folks, next week I'll have like a real topic where we'll do some training, and I promise you'll learn something. But this was important. I hope you'll share this video with all of your union reps, especially. I'd like all of your union reps to have their inboxes just blown up with this video because everyone needs to see it. You need the help, and you don't need to be prevented from getting the help. I'm going to leave it at that. Hey, thank you. Appreciate everybody. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for being here tonight. Have a good night.